Assetto Corsa Evo has had a difficult start, to say the least, and now Kunos is coming forward to say what is going to happen next for Early Access 2.
We got it wrong, but it can be a good thing when developers are willing to listen, and we do. This is not how we usually start our keynotes, but it is what it is. So let me provide you with some clarification about some questions that the launch of Evo has generated, because I have some good news for you.
As for the start, and I've said this in a few videos already, Kunos Early Access tends to be always a little bit rough. They always learn as they go forward. I'm not holding up Kunos to have a great Assetto Corsa Evo experience at 1.0 because it wasn't really that great in Assetto Corsa, nor it was in Assetto Corsa Competizione. It did take a while until it starts to get into their own paces. What changed this time around, even though I'm not expecting Assetto Corsa Evo to be any different on that experience, is that Kunos is definitely being more upfront about their misgivings and about communication.
Some people have assumed that Assetto Corsa Evo has been assembled as an online-only product. Let me tell you this straight, it's not like that. Anyway, we recognize that a lack of information, a not ideal placement of some user interface functionalities, and the backend issues at launch in January prevented you from enjoying some single-player modes, and led our community to the conclusion that you can't play Evo offline, or in a very limited way.
Well, it wasn't really difficult to get into that conclusion, right? Because if you had the offline mode, which was the case for a lot of us, most of the content was locked. Either the cars, you only had access to 5 cars, and also the licenses. With the cars, I didn't understand from the point why you didn't have access to them, and now he's saying that it's not the case. This game is going to be online only for most of the content, but it without any explanation from the get-go from Kunos, what was happening with that content, or why most of the content was locked behind the online layer. Well, we couldn't get any other conclusion, but it's good to have them say, well, this wouldn't be the case anymore, or that wasn't even the case ever.
We decided to apply changes to workflow and software architecture, taking a step back to better meet the requests from the community. The first result is that we are working.
Well, this race weekend system is quite interesting, but it still feels a little bit too complicated. Hopefully they clean up the user interface as time goes on.
To make the single-player modes totally independent from the presence of an online connection, with a goal to provide Evo with a fully well-known Assetto Corsa Classic experience. This means that launching the game, you can choose if you want to play Assetto Corsa as you did with the previous chapters in the open mode, while other features related to the game economy, the driving academy and progressive unlocks will live inside the career mode. To apply these changes we'll need a bit more time than expected before to release the Early Access version 2. But we are also making some modification to the current roadmap. So, the next release will include more content than planned, while the engine team is taking advantage of this delay to bring performance optimizations in graphics performance, triple screen and VR support.
Guys, have you seen this wheelbase? This seems to be a new Logitech equipment that hasn't been released, so I guess Kunos dropped the ball on that one, but now we have the confirmation that the game is going to be slightly delayed because they want to have better performance. Performance was a bit of an issue, but it's good that the performance is delayed back, or rather the game is a little bit delayed back, because we're gonna have hopefully the open world, and hopefully the open world experience actually gets better, because performance was very hard to get on this new engine. You also always needed to have a bit of tricks. I do have a video about getting a little more FPS out of the game, but with that also comes new content, because the content is being developed in parallel. Hopefully we get a better experience in the end.
Support AI behavior and performances. The result of these optimizations are quite encouraging. We are fixing some relevant issues, and this will result in an even better driving experience. Talking about the roadmap, we'll make some changes in order to provide you with a familiar Assetto Corsa experience while we'll continue to work on the career mode and progression. So, after release 2, we'll fully focus on netcode functionalities,
Okay, we're gonna
hoping
have a
to
line.
deliver multiplayer mode in the early summer.
Now, this is a big thing. We have the confirmation that multiplayer is coming really, really soon. They're doing the netcode part, the connection part, but also remember that the multiplayer itself is being done by Coach Dave Academy. That means you're gonna probably have a different experience than you are expecting from the regular Assetto Corsa, more akin to Lima Ultimate.
There is another change in the roadmap that will make you happy. Even if the modding functionalities were expected to be shared and delivered after the 1.0 release of Assetto Corsa Evo, we are now planning to release modding tools during the early access program.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. We're gonna have modding, or at least the start of modding, during the early access. I'm not sure if we're gonna have mods, but at least people will start playing with it. I'm not sure how it's going to be with bringing content over, if there's going to be a store of some sort, because you never knew what was going to be in modding, but now we are having a little bit of clarity. But this is awesome news.
In order to test it properly with the goal to improve and finalize it before the 1.0 release. We can't wait to see how the modding community will express its talent using the huge potential of Assetto Corsa Evo and pushing it to the edge.
Well, a part of it will be definitely transferring over a lot of stuff from Assetto Corsa into here, and probably even through other sims that been around like BMG and something like that. So if they have like a modding tool set that makes easy for people to bring their own mods, because there's already a plethora, a wealth of mods out there available for Assetto Corsa. And if they can bring them over into Assetto Corsa Assetto Corsa Evo, of course there will be work in the middle. It's not just plug and play. It will accelerate modding into Assetto Corsa Evo a lot.
On our end, we decided to make some changes also in the car release schedule, delivering in advance some models that were expected to be released later this year or in the 1.0 version.
Oh, that's awesome.
After all, we haven't released any
Well, Ferrari Formula 1 confirmed that we can see
open wheelers since 2017. That's quite a long time, isn't it? This refactoring is just the first result of some changes we are applying to our organizational chart in order to deliver the best possible Assetto Corsa experience ever. So I'm so glad and proud to welcome back my older brother Stefano Casillo, founder of Kunos Simulazioni and father of Assetto Corsa, in the role of Chief Technical Officer of Assetto Corsa Evo.
Now, this will be interesting because Stefano has a lot of experience into building game engines, and he did it with Assetto Corsa and applying the physics engine. So it will be really interesting to see how his experience outside of Kunos, building his own game with Hydrofoil, comes into Assetto Corsa. Hopefully, we'll get even better tools for the game, so the programmers can do even better work. This is quite an interesting video to see, not just because of the content parts, but especially because Kunos is coming forward doing some sort of mea culpa, explaining they have issues and they're trying to fix them. Because in the past, in my experience, if there was an issue with a title, they wouldn't communicate it as much. They would fix it, but they would be in such a way that they wouldn't tell you what was going on, leaving you to guess if they were doing it, fixing it, or if they cared at all. So Marco coming forward, it takes a lot of courage. Generally it's not their thing. So he explains everything in a way that I think it's succinct, direct, and goes to the point, which I do appreciate. But I want to hear from you. What do you think about this video, and are you hopeful for the future of Assetto Corsa Evo?